12 steps that you can take in your company to incorporate gender perspectives in health and safety at work. 1. Define your company's prevention policy from a gender perspective. Assume and disseminate your company's commitment to gender equality in all management areas, and in particular in the health and safety at work policy. Design participatory communication channels where the company's whole workforce can access equality information and training. Review your prevention plan. Consider whether the tools you use are integrative and ensure the inclusion of all workers. 2. Foster and guarantee the consultation with and participation of women in all processes. Encourage the balanced participation of female and male workers. Guarantee the equivalent presence of women to their quantitative presence in the company. Take into account the people who work part-time or who have opted for paid and unpaid care leave, mainly women, who carry out administrative, cleaning, auxiliary, mainly women, tasks, and non-presence-based modalities. Guarantee that women's contributions are taken into account to the same extent as those of men. 3. Organise and foster in-company training on gender and health at work. Guarantee general information and training in gender impact on safety at work. Specific information and training on risk prevention for each job and task, taking into account the needs and diversity of both women and men. 4. Systematically break down all the data by sex and analyse if there are differences and why they occur. Analyse by sex all the data related to the working conditions, exposure to risk and health damage. Reflect on what differences are there, what may be the reason for them, how can I correct them. Analyse them with the workers themselves, their representatives, and with people with training and experience in health at work and gender. 5. Guarantee that there are people in the preventive teams with knowledge and experience in occupational health from the gender perspective. Ensure that the external health and safety services have knowledge and experience in occupational health. Train designated workers and own prevention service staff in occupational health and gender. 6. Take into account that gender inequality in the company is a risk factor. Analyse. Are women and men in the same type of posts? The same type of contract? Do they get paid the same? Do they work the same hours? Are they on the same footing at work when it comes to decision making? Are sexist comments and/or attitudes allowed? Are inequalities perceived in the company? Detect possible inequalities and propose measures, a plan for equality. 7. Address the differences between women and men when assessing the risks and adopting preventive measures. Are women and men exposed to the same risks? Are they affected in the same way? Find out their social and biological differences and their interactions. Have you assessed all the risks? Assess the psychosocial and ergonomic risks in depth. Take into account that the workplace, equipment, machinery, tools, and personal protection equipment are mainly designed to male anatomical parameters. The toxicological effect on women and men may be different. The time organisation is designed in general for a person with total availability for work, without care responsibilities. The musculoskeletal response to positions and loads may be different. Night and shift work may affect them in a different way. 8. Take into account other social factors that may increase the risks and adopt measures to limit them. Take the following factors into account. Care overload. Women work 1 hour more a day than men on caring and housework. Overexposure to psychosocial and ergonomic risks. Overexposure to hygiene risks in the greater use of chemicals in routine cleaning, washing activities, etc. Women who are suffering male violence outside the workplace. Women and men may have different socially learned attitudes and behaviours towards risk, prevention and damage that may also harm men. For example, men influenced by gender stereotypes are more reluctant to ask for help, find it harder to express feelings of vulnerability, avoid showing feelings of vulnerability, and avoid seeking professional help to a greater extent. 9. Take into account the differences between women and men in health surveillance and in damage notification. Guarantee that the incidence and prevalence of work-related and professional diseases and accidents are analysed by sex. Questions and parameters are included that contemplate women and men, differences in the health surveillance protocols and occupational clinical records. All the data needed to establish the causes, also gender-related ones, of all accidents, including those in itinerary, and all work-related diseases are collected and analysed. 10. Guarantee reproductive health, pregnancy and when breastfeeding. Guarantee strict compliance with all preventive measures arising from the recommendations and legislative obligations surrounding reproductive health, pregnancy and when breastfeeding. Consider the reproductive health both of women and men, and in the case of women not only linked to pregnancy and when breastfeeding. Consider that endocrine disruptors act differently in women and men. 11. Develop preventive measures and actions to eliminate sex-based and sexual harassment. Establish and disseminate a company policy of zero tolerance to male influence, including sexist comments and jokes, and any other type of violence. Foster a psychosocial risk assessment that identifies the risk factors of sex-based and sexual harassment. Establish preventive measures including training in sex-based and sexual harassment. Design and adopt a policy protocol and damage research methodology to process the cases, if any occur. 12. Consider the diversity of all people and its impact on occupational health. Take into account other factors that influence occupational health and which can interact with gender inequalities: age, functional diversity, place of provenance, sexual, emotional and gender identity diversity. Thanks to these steps, we will ensure greater protection for everyone and a healthier workplace. Prevention with equality is quality prevention.